We are going to start. And so for today, let's have 2 blocks. A blanket strap is optional. And we're going to start on our abdomens in heads up, 7-up style / makrasana. So once you have all your props, we can just go ahead and blanket off to the side, blocks off to the side, strap off to the side, and you'll just lay down on your abdomen. And you'll stack your forearms right on top of each other. And today we'll walk our forearms back just a millimeter or so, and then put your forehead on the center of your forearms. And then go ahead and separate your feet at least mat distance apart. And you might find that when you separate your feet at least mat distance apart, the tops of your feet will naturally just rest into the floor, and see if that works for you. If it doesn't, you might slightly adjust the internal or external rotation of your legs. And we want our arms back just a little bit closer towards our chest, more so than normal, just so that we feel, so stack your forearms on top of each other, Steve, just so that we feel that slight lift of our chest. And then as you're here, I want you to start to become aware of how you can relax into this shape. So you might start to notice what's happening around your shoulders, noticing sometimes it feels like one shoulder is a little higher up than the other. You might conversely feel this across the back. You might start to notice where the belly is pressing into the floor, the pelvis is pressing into the floor, the legs are relaxing into the floor, the feet are dropping into the floor. Oh, wow, Erica, he's gotten a lot bigger since the last time we saw him. And you'll just take a couple of breaths here. And with every breath that you take in and every breath that you let out, see if you can make it just a little bit longer. And see if you can make it just a little bit fuller. And then check in with your mouth and see if you can let any tension go there. And you've got about 3 more breath cycles here. We're starting to allow our awareness, our gaze to come inward, so that we can have the capacity to really be discerning. I've been paying attention this week to how much multitasking is not serving me. And so in our practice today, we're going to pay attention to just one thing at a time. And right now, our awareness is just on our breath and how that feels in the body. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently lift your head away from your arms and open your arms out into a T shape. And so some of you might keep your arms straight, arms in line with your shoulders. Some of you might bend at your elbows so that your elbows are in line with your shoulders and you've got a cactus arm. It's totally up to you. But we're all going to look to the right. And then step your right hand underneath your right shoulder. And you're going to slowly roll to the left. Now, if your elbow is bent, you're not going to get very far, but you're going to feel a fun stretch across your pec muscles, which is really nice, actually, especially if you've been experiencing neck pain. It's just a nice, gentle stretch. And if your arm is straight, you'll feel it probably a little bit lower into the chest region. And then wherever you are, I want you to just notice what's happening to the breath. How can you breathe into the body? This is hoping or helping to open some of the upper part of your chest. So how can you breathe into this area? And you're just noticing where the breath is moving. Notice then if you want to lift your head up and slightly away from the floor, maybe lean back. But again, the impetus, or the main focus rather, is just to pay attention to how you're breathing. How is the breath moving in the body? How is the breath leaving the body? Okay, you've got about 1 more complete breath cycle here. And then at the end of your exhalation, you'll gently roll back onto your stomach. Take heads up, seven up one more time and just notice if you notice a difference. If you can remember which arm you had on top, go ahead and switch that and just take a couple of breaths here. And again, just checking in. How's the breath? Where is the breath? When you're ready, we'll try the other side. So again, your arms either come out into a T shape or you cactus your elbows. You'll look to your left, step your left hand underneath your left shoulder, and then start to push into the left hand to roll to your right. And again, if the arm is bent, you're probably not going to get very far. You'll feel this very acutely across the top part of the chest. If your arm is straight, you'll probably feel it a little bit lower down. Wherever you are, you're just paying attention to how the breath is moving through the body. When the sensations become, well, sensational, we can often stop breathing. So if your sensation is increased or if the amount of feeling that you've gotten has increased, just notice if you can allow the breath to deepen as well to accompany that. And you've just got a couple more breath cycles here. Again, if you want to lift your head and lean back, do that. If you don't, no worries. But you're just pausing and you're breathing. You're noticing what you notice. Our attention is always the most precious resource that we have because it's connected to our time. It's connected to our effort and our ability to actually direct our effort. And so we have to be very mindful and almost protective of how we use our attention. On your next in-breath, go ahead and come back to your belly. Again, you can stack heads up, seven up if you'd like, and just take a breath cycle there just to notice. From here, let's start to come up onto our forearms. So you can just have your hands touching opposite arm if you'd like. Your feet might be hip distance apart. They might be a little wider. It's totally up to you. So we're just going to hold on to opposite arm just so we have that setting to begin with. And then when you're ready, you'll release that. Gently go ahead and drop your left ear over towards your left shoulder. And then you can open and close your mouth just a bit. So we've got our elbows are directly underneath our shoulders. We're in a Sphinx type position. And we'll just pause and we'll breathe here. So Steve, go ahead and bring your head a little bit more upright into Sphinx. Okay, and then when you're ready, go ahead and inhale, come back to center. And then we'll drop our right ear over towards our right shoulder. Again, you might open and close your mouth a few times. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Nice work. Next in-breath, go ahead and come back through center. Go ahead and lift your head, everyone, for me just a bit. Awesome. Now I want you to curl your toes behind you. And you're going to lift your kneecaps up and away from the floor. Now it feels like you can draw your pubic mound into the floor, and then you're going to walk your elbows over to your right. And as you walk your elbows over to the right, you're still pushing back through both feet, especially that left foot. And we're holding on to our opposite elbow, and you might feel this fun stretch across the front of your hip flexors. Specifically, I guess, maybe from our lowest ribs down into our hips. We're trying to find part of our psoas. And so your legs need to be active. We're up on our forearms, almost like we're in Sphinx pose. There we go. And then gently, you'll release that. We'll come back through center, walk your elbows over towards the left. Really keep the toes curled under, your kneecaps lifted. Reach back through your right foot. Pubic mound presses into the mat, and you just pause and you breathe. Yep. Nice work. Next in breath, walk your elbows back through center. Release the tops of your feet to the floor. Go ahead and lower your forehead to the floor. And then plant your hands alongside your lowest ribs. When you're ready, you'll push down into your hands, push down into your knees, come up to hands and knees. Walk your knees together, and then press yourself back to child's pose. Now, for this first child's pose, you might reach your arms back behind you and just feel what it feels like to just feel the rounding of your shoulders around the thighs, and just notice how that feels for you. And you just take a couple of breaths there, and you just settle in, and you notice what the breath feels like here and now. And we're really just paying attention to the breath. It's our energy. It's our awareness. From here, we'll go ahead and slide our right hand forward, and then slide your left hand forward. Once you have both hands forward, come to the tips of your fingers. Push your fingertips down and forward. Press your hip bones down and back, and then go ahead and lift your head about 2 to 3 inches away from the floor. Crawl your hands over to your right. Lower your head back down to the floor if you'd like. Push down and forward with your left hand. Draw down and back with your left hip. And just breathe into your left side body. A slightly different stretch than when we were on our tummies, but just notice what you notice. Where's the breath? How is the breath moving? Next inhalation, lift your head, walk your hands back through center. Just take a moment to notice if you notice anything between the sides. And then as you're ready, you'll crawl your fingertips over to your left side. Lower your head back in alignment with the arms or down to the floor. And then again, press down and forward with your right fingertips. Hold down and back with your right hip. Breathe into your right side body and just notice what that feels like for you here. Nice job. Next inhalation, go ahead and lift the head, walk the hands back through center, and then let's shift ourselves forward to hands and knees. When you come forward to hands and knees, if your knees are at all sensitive, feel free to pad your shins with a blanket. And then we're going to just take a couple of breaths here. So you're going to drop your belly, you're going to drop your head, you're going to lift your sit bones, you're going to press the arms super duper straight. So we're in our static back pose. And we're just going to breathe here. And I just really want you to breathe. Notice if you can breathe fully into your belly, fully into your ribs, fully into your chest. And you're just paying attention to the breath. Notice how the breath moves in the body and out. Notice where it doesn't want to move. Perhaps you might find it hard to breathe behind your shoulder blades with your head dropping down like this, and that's okay. You're just paying attention. Where's the energy now? Got 2 more breath cycles here, just allowing yourself to breathe, letting the head be heavy, letting the sit bones lift. Awesome. At the end of your next exhalation, let's go ahead and walk your hands forward, 1 handprint. Curl both sets of toes under and then lift your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Now, this is your first down dog, so you might choose to slowly bend and straighten one leg or then the other. But again, we're paying attention to the breath. How is the breath moving in the body? Do you hear it? Do you feel it? What is its quality? And is it the same from the beginning of the inhale to the end of the exhale, or does it change? Nice work. All right, if you're in movement, go ahead and come to stillness. Inhale, come forward into plank pose. So this is our not so sneaky core work of the day. As we're here in our plank, we're going to push the floor away more than you think that you can. So we're pushing a 10-ton truck up a hill in San Francisco. So it's a really big hill. And as you exhale, you're going to slowly lower your knees as you lift your lower belly away from the floor. So knees are going to come down, but belly is going to come up. So in actuality, nothing's going to happen, but you're going to feel like Your belly is lifting up as you lower your knees down. And we're going to just take 3 of these. So knees lower down and the knees straighten, but the whole thing is happening in your belly. So as the knees lower, your belly feels like it lifts even more. And then it comes back up. Awesome. This next time, as we lower our knees down, we're going to let our knees actually touch the floor. And then shift your weight forward and lower your chest to the floor. Nice job. Once you're on your abdomen, go ahead and extend the tops of the feet to the floor. Engage the backs of your glutes and inhale, pull your heart and sternum forward and through cobra. And then exhale, lower down. And you've got 2 more just like that. And we're going to see if we can engage it from our back body. So think of squeezing your glutes and hugging the shoulder blades together on the back and maybe drawing your back of your skull close to your tailbone. And that's what lifts you up. And then down. And our third time is the charm. Little baby cobra, engaging the back of the body. Hands are super duper light, not really pressing into the floor. And down. Awesome. Next in-breath, let's go ahead and come up to hands and knees. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Full deep breaths. On your next exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Now, once your right foot comes between your hands, some of you might put your hands on your blocks. Some of you might keep your hands on the floor. It's completely up to you. But what we're going to do is shift our weight forward just a smidge. Press from the center of your right butt cheek down into the center of your right heel until you feel the back of your right hamstring come online. And then reach your heart and sternum forward. In opposition to that, engage your back leg, reach your back heel back and your heart forward. And then just like we did a couple of seconds ago, you're going to slowly lower your back knee down to the mat, very slowly with control. Great. If you need to pad your knee, this would be a great time to do that. Otherwise, we're going to start to walk both hands up to the center of our right thigh. Push down into your right heel, push down into your left knee, hug those points together. And from here, we can think of reaching our heart up and then maybe slightly back to find a little bit of a back bend here. And we're looking for a stretch across the front of our left quadricep. And we're just pausing and we're breathing. Nice work. Very gently, we're going to release down, hands come back to the floor or blocks. And Barbara, make sure your back knee is down. And then we're going to shift our weight back and straighten our front leg long. From here, you might slide your right foot forward just a little bit and peel all 5 toes up and back towards your right knee. And again, push down into your right heel a lot. Push down into your left knee a lot. Draw those points together. And then in opposition, you'll reach your heart forward. And we're just trying to find a stretch across the back of our hamstring. Nice work. All right. Next in breath, go ahead and shift your weight forward. As you exhale, plant both your palms and step yourself back to downward facing dog. In down dog, just notice if you notice anything between the sides. How are you breathing? How do the backs of the legs feel? How does the front of the hip feel? Okay. Next in breath, go ahead and come forward into plank. Awesome sauce. Now again in plank, push down through your hands so your upper back rounds just a little bit. And we want to keep our shoulders, hips, and head in the same alignment. As you exhale, bend your knees and let your knees hover about 1 millimeter away from the floor. And then inhale, straighten the legs. Yep, and you got 3 of those. So we want to see if we can keep our shoulders, hips, and head all at the same level as we slowly lower our knees and then slowly lift up. And you'll notice that it's not so sneaky core work. You really have to lift the low belly in order to do this. On your next time, gently lower the knees to the mat and then shift your weight forward and lower your chest to the mat. Nice job. Engage, or rather extend the tops of the legs onto the floor. Yep, tops of the feet. Engage your glutes. Pull your heart and sternum forward and come into cobra. And you've got 3 of these again. And as you take these 2 more times, I encourage you to notice what happens if you make your hands super light. So really it's just the back, there you go, Robin, the back of your body doing all of the work and making sure that you notice that if you squeeze your glutes, you can actually lift more of your chest up and away from the floor. It's like one of those, there you go, Barbara. It's one of those fun things that happens. If we engage one muscle group, it allows us to stretch another. So by engaging your glutes, you can stretch more of the front body. Awesome. All right, after you've done about 3, you'll lower all the way down. Oh, that's very nice, Barbara. Press down into your hands and your knees. Come back up through that tabletop position, and then make your way back to downward facing dog. And just 3 little breaths. Notice what you notice. 3 little breaths. Okay. At the end of this next exhalation, go ahead and step your left leg between your hands. And again, maybe you bring your hands to your blocks, maybe you don't. Shift your weight forward just slightly so that you can really press from the center of your left glute down into your left heel. You'll feel your left hamstring become very active. And then in opposition to that, reach back through your right foot, engage the right leg, reach your heart forward and just find that length and that strength and power through your legs. And then very gently, we're going to bend the back knee and lower it to the mat. Pat it if needed. And then start to walk your hands to the center of your left thigh. And again, we're pushing down into our right knee. We're pushing down into our left foot. We're drawing those points together. And then you can actively push down into your left thigh as you reach your heart forward and then up and then maybe back for just a little bit of a stretch on the front of our right thigh, as well as a little bit of a baby back bend. Nice work. Next in-breath, go ahead and shift your weight forward, lower your hands to the blocks or floor, and then shift your pelvis back to straighten your left leg long. If you need to walk the blocks back, walk the blocks back. If you need to slide your leg forward, slide your leg forward. But you'll just take a couple of breaths here, pulling your left toes back towards your left kneecap. Push down into your left heel, push down into your right knee. Draw those points together as you reach your sternum forward. So we find a stretch across the back of our left leg. Nice work. All right. Next in-breath, let's go ahead and shift our weight forward. Slight variation. So we're going to curl our back toes under, straighten our back leg long, and step to the top of our space. And once you get to the top of your space, go ahead and separate your feet about hip distance apart. Yeah, nice there, Robin. And then notice if you want to just let the backs of your knees bend a little bit, or if your legs want to be straight. Notice if you can make your head a little bit heavier than it is, and you're just staying in this forward fold. And just take a pause here and you'll breathe. Head is super heavy. Where is the breath? I think a lot of times we get over engaged with things, and by we, I mean me, and I'm hoping it applies to you as well, but we'll see. I think we get over engaged in things because sometimes we can get bored, but boredom is a good thing. So while you're here, let's go ahead and bend our knees and straighten your legs. And we'll do that 2 more times. And you're just feeling what happens when you do that. And you bend your knees. How are your ankles working when you do that? And then you straighten your legs. And last one, how is your head super heavy when you bend your knees? And when you straighten your legs. Okay, this next time we're going to bend our knees. And then I want you to keep your knees bent, but start to reach your arms out to the right and to the left. And then start to reach your arms out and overhead as you sit your butt down for chair pose. So they swim out to create this giant circle. And then maybe your arms are alongside your ears. And then notice if you need to shift your weight a little to the right or to the left or forward or back. Where is the weight in your feet so that you feel the activation in your glutes and in your quads and not in your knees? And then when you're ready, you're going to start to engage your glutes even more. Push down into your heels, reach up through your arms, maybe look up towards your arms, straighten your legs, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, allow the arms to soften down alongside your hips, Tadasana. And just take a moment to pause and take a moment to breathe. All right, let's move on. So we're going to do a Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. And exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Take your time. Slow breaths. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Yep. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Maybe you lower your knees down, or maybe you don't, but inhale, shift your weight forward, and exhale, come to the floor. Nice work. Inhale, come through your cobra shape. Exhale, lower down. Inhale through hands and knees. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. And again, just check in. How is the breath? Breath is kind of a marker for our unique energy. And how can we keep connected to that in the midst of all the other things being asked of us? Next, in breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, travel to the top of your space, however you want to do that. Nice work. Once you get to the top of your mat, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, Tadasana, Samasthiti. Okay, let's do that one more time. You just follow your own breath. So inhale, circle sweep the arms. Exhale, fold forward at your hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step back, plank pose. Inhale here. Exhale through chaturanga if you'd like. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale through hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Just notice what you notice. Where's the breath? How is it moving in the body? What is its quality? Next, in breath, raise to the top or balls of your feet. Exhale, bend the knees, travel to the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, root to rise. And exhale, Tadasana. Soften the gaze, close the eyes, notice the breath. Notice the breath. It centers us right here and now. All right. On your next in-breath, gently return the eyes to open if they were closed. We're going to go ahead and actually bring our hands to our hips first to start. Let's go ahead and lift our left leg up and just notice what it feels like to balance on one leg. Pull your left toes towards your right, or your left toes towards your left knee. And we'll go ahead and release that leg down. And try that on the other side. Just lift your right leg up. Okay. And we'll lower that down. Adding on, we'll go ahead and lift our left leg up. We're going to slide our left leg back behind us. Yep, and put your left foot down. And then from here, we're going to turn our hips slightly towards our left. Our left foot is parallel to the short edges of our mat. Our right foot is pointing towards the top of our mat. And you might want to walk your right foot so it bisects the back of your back arch. Great. With your hands on your hips, we're going to push down into both feet and draw both feet in towards our midline. And then like we're doing that little teapot game when we were little kids, we're going to shift our pelvis to the left. Keep your right side super duper long And then we're going to crawl our right hand down towards our right shin or kneecap. Now, we want both legs super straight. So we're going to push the tops of our fingertips into our right shin, push our shin into our fingertips, pull down with your left hand into your left hip, and then start to roll your rib cage a little bit towards the left. So the left shoulder blade draws back, the right rib cage draws forward and under. Fantastic. You can stay right here, or you can reach your left arm out, and we're in this weird variation of Trikonasana. Now, maybe your left hand is up towards the sky, or maybe you want to turn the left palm towards your head and then reach the left arm alongside your ear. And you'll find this crazy long stretch happening on the left side of your body from your hand through the armpit, through the hip. And we'll say, hello, latissimus dorsi and QL, and we'll breathe. And we'll notice how that's going. On your next in-breath, the left hand comes back to the left hip. The gaze comes to the foot or the right hand comes to the right hip, and you bring your spine back up to vertical. Go ahead and bend into your front knee. You're going to shift your weight towards the top of your mat and step back to the top of your space. Awesome sauce. All right. Now we're going to do that with the other side. So go ahead and lift. This time, you're going to lift your left leg. Sorry, your right leg, other leg. There we go. And then go ahead and step your right leg back. Put the right foot down. Go ahead and adjust your feet. So maybe you need to walk your left foot a little bit more towards the left, and we'll have both hands on our hips. And then again, push out through both feet, draw both feet towards our midline. With your hands on your hips, shift your pelvis actively back towards your right heel. And then you'll start to crawl your left hand down your left shin. Now again, keep pushing your fingertips into your left shin into your fingertips. Your right hand pulls down onto your right hip. You draw the right shoulder blade back as the left shoulder blade comes forward. And you're happy to stay here. You might reach your right arm up towards the sky and stay there. You might turn your right palm in the same direction as your head, and then reach your right arm alongside your ears for this crazy long side body stretch. But you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Nice work. When you're ready to come out, the right hand is going to come back to the right hip. Your gaze goes to the left foot. The left hand comes to the left hip, and then you bring the spine back up to vertical. From there, you're going to turn your spine towards the short edge of your mat, bend your knee, and step to the top of your space. Okay, awesome. Let's move on. All right, so again, standing at the top of your space, go ahead and lift your left leg up. And this time we're going to slide our left leg back again, but we're going to go more for a warrior one. So step your left leg slightly out to the left. Hands are still on the hip, and we'll see if we can guide our outer left hip forward. Now from here, I want you to really play with your back heel. Notice if you swing it out just a little bit to the left, that might change the sensation you're feeling on the front of your left hip. So play with that. And then when you feel like you've got your feet where they want to be, push down into both feet, and then draw both feet in towards the midline, and you'll feel this energy come up the center of your spine. Reach your left arm up, then reach your right arm up, and then notice where you want your gaze. Do you want your gaze forward? Do you want your gaze slightly up? Where you go depends upon how you can continue to breathe through it. So bring your attention back to your breath. If your breath is rushed at all, see if you can slow it down. If it feels shallow at all, see if you can make it a little bit deeper, a little bit fuller, a little bit more effortless, despite all that direction. And then when you're ready to come out of this, our hands will come back down to our hips. We're going to bend our front knee a little bit more, shift our weight forward, and step our left foot to meet our right. Cool. Let's move on. So shift the weight to your left leg, float the right leg up. And then we'll go ahead and step our right foot back. And then again, the right foot might slightly go off to the right just a little bit. And you might even spin your heel out to the right just a little bit. We're looking for a stretch across the top of our front leg. And then once you feel like you found that, push into the center of your front foot, push into the center of your back foot, and maybe steer your outer right hip forward as you externally rotate the right leg. Then we'll reach your right arm forward and up. Then we'll reach your left arm forward and up. Then you'll notice, where do you want to put your gaze? And you'll notice that to some extent, how much you elongate through your pinky fingers, your ring fingers, does kind of direct where your chest can go, where your gaze can go. And then you notice what's happening in your breath. How full, how even, how effortless is the breath. Nice work. When you're ready to come out, hands come back to our hips. Bend your front knee, step to the top of your space. Awesome sauce. All right, let's go ahead and shift our weight to our right leg. Bend your left knee, grab your left ankle with your left hand. And as best as you can, notice if you can draw your knees towards each other. So we get a standing quad stretch. Nice work. Gently release that. We'll switch to the other side. So we'll bend the right knee. We'll grab the right foot with our right hand. We'll draw the right heel towards the hip. We'll draw our knees towards one another. Nice work. Gently release that. Okay. And then we'll stand back at the top of our space and we'll add on once again. So go ahead and lift your left leg up. We're going to step our left foot back and we're going to find ourselves in our warrior two. So in our warrior two, I would encourage you to notice if you can take a longer stance than you ordinarily might, meaning wider right to left between your legs. And then notice if you want to walk your right foot forward or if you want to walk your right foot back. It's dependent upon how you feel stable in your sacrum. So you just notice what's happening for you and you pause and you breathe and you press out through both feet. And then once you feel like your legs are pretty solid, you might extend the arms out right to left. And then take your gaze over your front hand. So that's your right hand and your middle finger. And then again, just notice where the breath is. Notice if you want to bring a slight bend into your back knee. Notice if you want to soften any tension around your shoulders. Just pause and breathe. Great. And then as you're ready, hands will come to your hips. This is a slight variation. Go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Turn both feet parallel to the short edge of your mat. And then we're going to try that on the other side. So you'll turn your left toes to face the back of your mat. Awesome. You'll bend your left knee. And then you'll adjust your right heel. Maybe you need to swim it out just a little bit so that you're in warrior two. Now with your back knee bent and your hips still towards the long edge of your mat. And then again, notice if you want to adjust the feet. So maybe the right foot, or rather the left foot, bisects the back arch. Maybe it's a little further back. But once you feel established in your feet, you're going to push out into both feet. You're going to hug them in towards the midline and then go ahead and extend out through both arms. And you just take a couple of moments to pause and breathe here in warrior two. And you notice what this feels like. Where can you allow a little bit more ease in the body? Where can you allow a little bit more fullness to the breath? Nice work. On your next in-breath, both hands come to your hips. Go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. And then you might need to wiggle walk your feet in just a little bit if your feet are too splayed apart. From here, we'll draw our shoulders up towards our ears, draw our shoulder blades onto our back, push out into your feet, start to hinge forward at your hips, and we'll come forward about halfway. Once you're halfway, you'll notice if you can feel comfortable here, and you might go the whole way down with your head down towards the floor, or you might release your hands underneath your shoulders and then allow that to help you descend towards the floor. But you'll just take a couple of breaths here. And you'll press into the knife edge of both feet. You'll shift your weight forward just slightly in your heels, so it almost feels like Your shin bones are coming forward a little bit, and imaginary hands are pushing the tops of your shin bones back. And you just pause and you breathe. Nice work. And then very gently, let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bring a slight bend into your knees. Draw your hands to your hips. And then inhale, come back up to stand. Awesome. Now, once you're vertical, if you're dizzy at all, you drop your chin to your chest. You lift your chest to your chin. And then you'll turn to face the top of your mat and step your left foot to meet your right. Awesome. Okay. We'll try all that on the other side. So shift your weight over into your left leg, lift your right leg up. And then we're going to step our right leg long and back. Spin our foot down and then readjust your front foot. So now our left leg should be our front foot, our right leg is our back foot. Now this time we're going to take extended side angle. So we're going to go ahead and take our left hand and press the back of our left hand into the front of our left thigh. And then we're going to tip our torso just like we did when we did that little teapot a little earlier. And so you might already feel a stretch here and be happy to stay here. You might want to extend your right arm alongside your right ear for extended side angle. And then while you're here, you might decide that you want to bend your underneath elbows. So that's your left elbow, and just fully rest there. But we're keeping our legs active. We're noticing how we can draw our left ribs under, our right ribs up, and we're just breathing. And we're seeing how that's working for us. Nice job. On your next in-breath, you'll come to warrior two. So slide your right arm back. As you exhale, go ahead and straighten your left leg long. Turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. Draw your hands to your hips. And then we'll try that on the other side. So turn your right toes to face the short edge of your mat. Go ahead and bend into the right knee and readjust your feet as you need to, right to left, front to back. Great. And then we'll start as we did before. So the back of your right hand comes to the inside edge of your right thigh, and you really push those towards each other to get a connection. And then tip your torso, and that allows your right hand to slide a little bit closer towards the floor. You might stay here with the left hand on the left hip. You might extend the left arm alongside the left ear. You might choose to bend your right elbow, and notice that when you do that, you can then draw the right ribs under, the left ribs back, and you can just pause and breathe. We just notice how that's working for us. We notice if we can elongate through the neck, if we can deepen our breath. Nice work. Next in breath, let's go ahead and come back to warrior two. And then as you exhale, straighten the front leg long, turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat, bring your hands to your hips, and then we'll wiggle walk our feet in towards each other just a smidge. Now we can do the same thing that we did before. So hands might stay on hips, hands might interlace at low back. It's totally up to you. But you'll draw your shoulders up towards your ears, you'll draw your shoulder blades together on your back, and as you're ready, you'll start to fold forward halfway. Once you get halfway down, if it feels like you need to move your arms to underneath your shoulders, please do that. And then you'll continue to let your head fall towards the floor. If your hands are staying behind you, no worries. Just allow the head to fall forward. Notice if you can pay attention to letting the head really fall down. So draw your chin to your chest a little bit more, Robin. And then notice the weight of your arms. There we go. Nice job. All right, if your hands are behind you, bring your hands to your pelvis. Slide your hands down your legs into the floor. And then all of us inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, slight bend in your knees. Draw your hands to your hips. And then inhale, come up to stand. When you're vertical again, if you're dizzy, you drop your chin, you lift your sternum. Okay. From here, let's go ahead and open the eyes if they're closed. Turn your heels in, your toes out, and go ahead and bend your knees for goddess/horse stance. And we'll just stay here for a couple of breaths. So we really want to, again, think of pushing down into the center of our heels from the center of our glutes. We can draw our hands to heart center if we'd like. You can cactus those arms if you'd like. You can keep your hands at your hips, but we're just going to pause and we're going to breathe here for 3 minutes. Well, not 3 minutes, 3 breath cycles. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice the chaos that's always around us. It never really invites us into the thing we need to do most, which often is to just slow down a little bit, to take in a deeper breath. And then from there, we'll have the clarity to know how to proceed. Next in breath, go ahead and push through the feet, straighten the legs. And then from here, turn your feet parallel, turn to face the short edge top of your mat, and then step to the top of your space. Great. Okay. Let's move on. So standing at the top of your space, feet hip distance apart, inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, downward facing dog. Awesome. Inhale, come forward into plank pose. Okay, and then very slowly lower down to your belly. Erica, that's amazing. When you get down onto your abdomen, extend the tops of the feet. And then you're just going to engage your glutes first. Engage your legs. Pull your heart and sternum forward and through. Little baby cobra. And then lower down. Sweep your hands alongside your hips, palms face down. Yep. And then again, start with engaging your glutes, engaging your legs. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. And then engaging the back body, see if you can lift the head, the shoulders. And then engaging the back body, see if you can lift the legs. Engaging the back body, see if you can lift the arms. See if you can lift the hands. And so you'll notice as you're here that sometimes just drawing the shoulder blades together on the back lets you lift the chest more. Sometimes reaching the hands back lets you lift the chest more. Sometimes, ironically enough, squeezing the glutes lets you lift the legs more, but you just pause and breathe for 3. You pause and breathe for 2. You pause and breathe for 1. Gently lower down. Bring an ear to the mat. And you're going to breathe for about 4 breath cycles on this side. After you've taken 4 breath cycles, you'll bring the opposite ear to the mat. But as you're here, just notice, how do you feel the breath? It might be that you feel it really in the nose as the breath enters and exits through the nostrils, alternating between warm and cool air. You might feel it in the chest. Maybe you feel the inhale pressing into the floor, pushing it away, and then the exhale softening into the floor. Maybe you feel it as the ribs widening as you take the breath in, and then narrowing as you take a breath out. Maybe you feel it in the abdomen. Maybe you even feel the heartbeat as you breathe in and as you breathe out. The breath is such a powerful tool to really bringing us back to this moment because it's so nuanced. And a lot of times the things that drive us to, well, drive me to frenzy, they lose some of their nuance. But as long as we can remember to slow down and take a breath, we can remember, we can recall, we can see that so that we know what things are really requiring of our attention, of our effort, of our energy, and can be discerning about that. All right, bring your forehead back to the mat. Inhale through hands and knees, and then exhale. We're going to go back to child's pose just for a moment. Your hands can swing back behind you if you'd like, if you didn't do that the first time, or they can be forward in front of you. That's totally up to you, but you just take a couple of breaths here. We started early in our practice in this shape, and just notice what it feels like to revisit it. Okay. When you're ready, walk your hands back towards your knees, walk your spine up to vertical. We'll just sit on our shins for a brief moment in Vajrasana. And so if this is not going to work for you for any reason, you can sit on a blanket, putting it underneath your bum and widening out your heels, sitting for a variation of a Virasana hero's pose. You can also sit and crisscross applesauce. That's totally fine too. But we're just going to pause and breathe here for a little bit. And because there was a question or comment about our shoulders and neck, we're going to take one of our hands, and if you can, you're just going to sort of palpate underneath the opposite shoulder. Now, I realize that's maybe not possible for everybody, but we'll just see how best you can do that. Of just taking your opposite hand and you kind of dig underneath the shoulder. And we're kind of getting, this is most likely most of us, it should be our lower trapezius muscle. You might feel a little bit of the erectors as well. The erectors go up and down the spine. The trapezius feels like it's a kite type of shape, going, making a diamond on the back of our body. And you're just doing that. You switch sides if you haven't already. This is really just getting a little bit of compression into the knees and the ankles before we move on. So distracting you while we're doing that. Okay. If you've done both sides, you can go ahead and shift your weight and then release your legs in front of you. Okay, now at this point, some of you might want to sit on your blanket if it feels like your lower back rounds just a little bit. If it doesn't, no worries, doesn't really matter if you're able to sit straight up. We're going to bend our left knee, cross our left foot to the outside edge of our right leg. Check in with your right leg, pull your toes back towards your knee, and then you're going to wrap your right arm around your left thigh knee area. This left hand is going to go out to the left, and we're going to push our fingertips down and forward. So if you feel like you might need a block because your torso is longer than mine, you can do that as well. But we're going to push our left knee into our right forearm, and we're going to pull our right forearm into our left thigh, and then we're going to lift up through our spine. You're going to scoop your left low belly and rotate towards the left. And this left hand is really helping us try to pinpoint sensation in our outer left hip. So you can really pull in with your right arm, really push out with your right leg, really push out with your left fingers. And it gives you the ability to lengthen through the spine, rotate through the spine, and also find this crazy fun stretch in our outer left hip. And then your right leg hopefully is still active as well. And you're pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. Nice work. All right, let's go ahead and inhale, gently unwind, and then extend the leg in front of us. Did that work? Did we feel that? Great, okay. All right, and then we'll try the other side. So bend the right knee, cross the right foot outside of the left thigh. Left toes pull back towards left knee. Left arm wraps around your right thigh. And then we're going to bring our right hand out to the right. So again, we want to lift up as we breathe in. We pull in with our left arm. We push out with our right leg. We push down and out with our right fingertips. And we draw our right abdomen in towards our spine. And so we're lifting with the in-breath, rotating with the out-breath. Just finding hopefully a fun opening on our outer right hip. Left leg is active, long, steady, smooth breaths. Nice work. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently inhale and unwind. You'll extend both legs in front of you, Dandasana. Well, just take a moment to pause and breathe here. This is one of those shapes that most of the time we speed right through. So see if you can sit super tall, shoulders over your hips, legs are active, feet are pulling back towards your knees. And then you could just soften your gaze and close your eyes and just be here for a couple of breaths. Fantastic. All right, if the gaze is soft or the eyes are closed, gently reopen the eyes. We're going to bend the knees, open the legs like a book, and then maybe slide your pelvis closer towards your heels. Bring your hands to wrap around the outside edges of your pinky toes, and you'll actively pull your feet into your hands and push your feet, pull your feet into you, and then push your feet down into your hands to pull your heart forward. I don't think that's the best way of describing that, but your hands are pulling actively, your feet are pushing actively, your heart is coming through. So we've got all of that working. Nice work. And some of you will stay right here. Some of you might want to start to hinge at your hips. Some of you might want to start to round in your spine. And you just notice where it feels appropriate for you, where the breath moves freely and easily, and you just stay there for a couple of breath cycles. So if you're vertical, great. If you're hinging forward, great. If you're rounding in, great. Does not matter, but you're choosing the place where you can breathe fully. Awesome. Cool. And if you rounded forward, gently start to come back up to vertical. Okay. We'll all release our feet. Bring the hands to the outer edges of the legs. Close the knees together like a book. Turn to face the back of your space, so head is towards the top of your mat. And then go ahead and slowly lower all the way down onto your back. And so now when we're on our back, we should hopefully have easily access to our block somewhere around our head. And then the first thing that you'll do is you'll bend your knees, you'll plant your feet firmly on the floor. Great. And just take a couple of pelvic nutations here. So that's imprinting the low back into the floor and then arching the low back away from the floor just to find neutral spine. And just notice what that feels like. And then when you feel like you found your neutral spine, go ahead and come to stillness. Extend your hands alongside your hips. Turn your palms to face up. Walk your shoulder blades underneath you. And then start to push down through your feet, push down through your arms, lift your hips. Once your hips have lifted, notice if you want to walk the shoulders underneath you a little bit more. But again, we're going to push down through our upper arms. We're going to push down through the back of our head. And then I want you to notice what happens if you push down into your big toes and then squeeze your glutes just a little bit. Does that allow you to lift more of the hips up and away from the floor? And some of you will keep your arms just as they are. Some of you might choose to grab the outer edges of your mat and pull that wide. Sometimes that feels really super nice because it lets you externally rotate the chest or the upper arms even more. Some of you might choose to robot your elbows or maybe even clasp your hands underneath you, but you've got about 3 to 4 breath cycles here. Well, we're making sure that the back body is engaged. So the glutes are working, the hamstrings are working, the feet are working, the upper arms are working, the head is working. And then, oh yeah, where's the breath? At the end of this next exhalation, release the hands, untuck the shoulders, bring the pelvis back down to the floor. Once the pelvis touches, walk your feet outside of your hips, let your knees fall in towards one another, and wrap your arms around your torso. You just take a couple of breaths. Now, where's the breath now? How does it feel right now? Next in breath, go ahead and open the arms. And then exhale, switch whichever arm was on top. And again, a few more breaths. What is the quality of your being right now? Okay. On your next in breath, gently open your arms. Let's draw our right knee. Well, let's draw both feet hip distance apart first. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands at the back of your right thigh. Now slide your left leg on the floor long beneath you. So left leg is long. Actively root down into that left foot like you're standing on it, and then kick your right thigh away from you. Keep the right knee bent. So kick the right thigh away from you, keep the right knee bent. So it's more like a 90-degree angle with the right leg. Left leg is still long on the floor. Awesome. And you can just stay right here. This is just trying to root the head of your right thigh bone into your pelvis to reset your back. And if you're happy here, stay here. If you'd like to reach your right foot up towards the sky, by all means do that. But the right thigh is still as active as it just was. So you're really kicking that thigh away from you as you pull it in towards you. And then you notice if you can soften any shoulder tension, any mouth gripping, any eye furrowing. Just pause and you breathe. Nice job. At the end of this next exhale, gently bend the right knee. Awesome. And then bend the left knee. Plant the left foot on the floor, the right foot on the floor, and just take a moment to notice the difference between the sides. And then we'll try that on the other side. So draw the left knee into your chest. Interlace your hands at the back of your left thigh. Slide your right leg long on the floor beneath you. Keep the right leg there. Now kick your left thigh away from you until it's like a 90-degree angle. Left knee stays bent. Happy to stay right here, just rooting the thigh bone into the hip socket. If you'd like, you might reach the left leg up towards the sky. And again, the left leg is still super active. So left thigh presses away from you as you pull it in with both hands. And then notice what's happening in your shoulders. Notice what's happening in your jaw, in your eyes. Take a couple of breaths. Nice work. At the end of this next exhale, gently bend the left knee. Fantastic. Then bend the right knee. Awesome. Release the foot. And then notice if you want to take a little fetal position, Apanasana, wind relieving pose. Notice if you want to take happy baby. Notice if you're ready for Supta Baddha Konasana or Shavasana, but just notice what feels appropriate for you. And you'll know which is the best option. Not that there's ever a one best, but you'll know what might be a good option based upon what feels like it might expand the breath, deepen the breath, make it more effortless. And you'll take these last couple of breaths, last couple of moments to do whatever shapes will allow your breath to fully deepen, to soften. Nice. Nice variations, everyone. And then when you feel complete, please make your way to your final resting pose. If your space is cold or your body tends to drop in temperature, be encouraged to cover up with something, but you do you. And as you settle into your final shape, I encourage you to just take a couple of breaths here. Maybe it's an audible exhale from the mouth. Maybe it's as simple as just taking a deeper breath in and a deeper breath out, gradually allowing the inhalation and the exhalation to become longer. Whichever option you've taken, though, I do encourage you to allow a gentle unwinding to occur. I think it's interesting how, and to some extent, I think a lot of us are constantly trying to learn to become more of who we are and to embody more of who we are. And in many respects, to do that requires that we soften, we release, we unwind, we let go of the things that aren't needed anymore, the things that maybe never were really true, or maybe were true for a given period of time, but may no longer be serving us. So as you settle into this final shape, I invite you to tune into the wisdom of your breath. It knows how to relinquish what is not needed. It knows how to welcome what is. And so as you're here with you for the next few moments, next few breaths, I invite you to see how the breath can be a teacher for you at this moment in time. Or it might be telling you you have a little bit of space or opportunity to do something maybe different or more effortless, more easeful, more nourishing. And I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to move on, first start to deepen the breath, making it a little bit longer, a little bit fuller. And then allow that to expand out into gentle movements in the body in whatever way feels good to you. Again, if you're comfortable in stillness, stay in stillness. If you are comfortable in movement, you'll start to make your way to one of your sides. When you're on your side, you'll just take a couple of breaths there. And then you'll begin to roll your chest towards the floor, press into your top hand, and draw your spine up to vertical. When you are vertical, I encourage you to take the opportunity to sit tall, to sit well. So if you're sitting on a block, great. Blanket, great. Pillow, fantastic. Whatever you want to sit on, just sit on something to elevate the spine. Keep the gaze soft or the eyes closed. And then when you are vertical, notice whether you need to fidget or not to find an alert but yet relaxed posture. From here, we'll bring one hand to rest on the abdomen, another one to rest on the heart. And you just take a couple of breaths. Reminding ourselves that at any moment, no matter what's going on, we do have this precious gift. We have this capacity to connect back to our breath, to our North Star, if you will, and it will never guide us wrong. So as you take these last few breaths here, just notice where in your life you might be aided by just taking a moment to breathe, taking the space to breathe. And then recalling that we always have the capacity to return to our breath at any given time. We'll complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Gently press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum, and then press your sternum into your thumbs. Exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through the nose. Audible breath out of the mouth. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the awareness within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the awareness within each of you. Namaste.